Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I am Grace. So happy you are here with us today. We've got Xander here. And we are going to be talking about the 4 yogas and yogic lifestyle. I love talking about these 4 yogas. So we're going to start with that. And as we go through the 4 yogas, try to think about which resonates the best with you. Which one do you feel you connect with the most? And like for myself, I feel like I connect with all of them very deeply. I love them all. And I find they're all paths to enlightening, paths to awakening, paths to awakening to that awareness that we are one with all life and one with Brahman, Atman, the inner divine presence. Yeah. So you may find that you like all of them, or you may find one is just more in particular. I have one that I feel is more fun, and I connect with a little more deeply, but I just can't imagine not having all of them in my life. I include them all. So yeah, EY Asana 2, 4 yogas and yogic lifestyle. Here is a quote from Anamika Mishra. Yoga is a lifestyle and not just a mere kind of exercise to stay fit and healthy. It is a science which unfolds the endless potentials of our mind and our soul. Put this on pause. So this lesson will contain the following information: the 4 yogas, review on the 8 limbs. I know we've talked about the 8 limbs a lot. We're going to do another review in response to lifestyle. Yogic diet, yogic lifestyle principles, and yoga personal practice. So a yogic lifestyle, it aims to create unity on all levels, on the mind, the body, and the spirit. Finding deeper and calmer states of peace of mind on a daily basis. More alert presence on a daily basis, and deeper respect and connection to that inner divine Atman and Brahman, that universal source, divine source of all that is. Benefits of living a yogic lifestyle are becoming vibrantly healthy. Physical, emotional, spiritual level. Compassion to all species. More conscious, more mindful, and more present, and peaceful extensions of source. Recognizing our unity with all life and creating deeper realizations of our God self and the divine source of our awareness. We will use the Vedanta, Upanishads, Patanjali, yogic history for this lesson on yogic lifestyle. In India, where yoga originated, yoga is not only an integral part of life, yoga was a way of life. And yoga doesn't begin and end on the mat. It weaves into every aspect of our life. That's the difference between a yogic lifestyle and then just going to a yoga class once or twice a week. And this yogic lifestyle This way of life includes pranayama and asana and meditation and yogic philosophy, studying ancient sutras, the Vedic sutras, practicing the 8 limbs, the yamas and the niyamas, and practicing healthy lifestyle. In India, they use the Ayurvedic system of medicine, which is we'll talk about in a different class. At the bottom line is living a life that is inspired by the way of the ancient Indian yogis lived. We want to live a yogic lifestyle. We'll be inspired by the way the ancient yogis lived. So we're going to share a little bit about that today. And of course, we live in a different world than ancient India 5,000 or more years ago. So the question is, how does a modern yogi, what does a modern yogic lifestyle look like? And although we don't need to wear only untailored garments made of locally grown fibers spun into the fabric, there are still many lifestyle techniques we can adopt from ancient Indian yogis if we truly want to live a yogic lifestyle as a modern yogi. Living a yogic lifestyle can bring peace and harmony to the mind, vibrant health to the body, and bring compassion to those around you, extend your life expectancy, bring thriving life to community and the planet, and benefit the yogi mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So let's talk about the 4 paths to yoga. Vedanta offers us 4 paths to yoga to help in remembering what we are, overcoming all suffering, and recognizing in form we are all unique and we all learn uniquely. So that's why there's 4 paths. See what path you naturally feel pulled to the most, and what parts of each path you resonate with. It is recommended to learn all 4 paths to awakening to oneness, and honor yourself by practicing and applying the paths you feel most interested in. So these are the 4 paths. Bhakti Yoga, the path of love and devotion. Karma Yoga, the path of selfless service. Gyana or Gyana Yoga, the path of truth and wisdom through study and self-inquiry. Raja Yoga, the royal path, control over the mind through meditation and techniques. So we're going to start with Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love and devotion. Ultimately, this path is a natural and deep sense of love and devotion to the divine source of our understanding. It is not to be in love, but to become love itself. Being in love with love itself. Sometimes that takes time and steps, especially for those new to yoga or new to any type of spiritual path. In the beginning, yogis may feel a sense of love and devotion to a guru, to a beloved family member, a past loved one, a beloved past loved one, a partner, friend, even a pet. What is important is a strong emotional tie, opening the heart to a sense of deep love and devotion. Ultimately, the fully bloomed Bhakti yogi will feel a deep sense of love and devotion to their divine source and to all life, all that is. Bhakti of devotional love begins and ends with love and devotion to the infinite self, which is the same as love for the divine. If we cannot love the self, that which the divine source created in his or her likeness, we cannot wholly love the divine. Bhakti Yoga has been said to be the easiest and most fun path to awakening the yogi to full self-realization. People of all mental and physical abilities can master Bhakti without extensive practices or knowledge of any sort. It's an opening and a flowering of the heart. Flowering of the heart through love and through devotion. No one can ever be too busy to practice Bhakti, even busy parents raising families, because Bhakti is the act of serving your family through being that conduit of great love and devotion for whomever is in front of you. Maybe it's a child or whatever family member is present. We practice that love and devotion towards our family. You cannot be in love with life, with love itself, and not exude and pass on that love to those closest to you. Practice Bhakti in your home, with your family and your loved ones, as an act of love and devotion to God and to your own divine self. Beautiful thing about Bhakti is that it immerses the heart with love, with bliss, joy, and rapture. And in that state of grace, the ego disappears naturally. Grievances disappear naturally. Jealousy, hatred, all sense of separation cannot exist when the heart is flooded, bursting wide open with love, devotion, rapture, and joy. The Vedanta calls the thread that connects all of our hearts to the heart of the divine Prem, P-R-E-M. This thread can never be destroyed. It is a permanent connection to our divine source. Sandra is shedding, and I have Sandra here all over everything, even my face. This thread is this essence of Bhakti, Prem. And once the dormant Prem energy is awakened by grace, you become intoxicated with divine love. Where were we at? Being intoxicated with divine love. Inquiry to Bhakti love, Bhakti Yoga. So as I read these questions, I'm going to create a pause in between them for you to just contemplate for a moment. some of these questions. What is the deepest longing within my being, within your heart? So asking, what is the deepest longing within your being, within your heart? You ask yourself, what is the deepest longing within my being, within my heart? Next question for you to ask yourself is, how can I honor and respect all life? How can I purify my thoughts, words, and actions daily? How can I see the divine within all things, all beings, always? How can I purify my heart? Surrender to absolute love and devotion. How can I surrender deeper to divine self and source? How can I serve the divine best in this moment? What are some ways I can celebrate the divine? Be through song and dance, art, sharing moments and words with others. Ultimately, when immersed with bhakti, you not only feel ultimate and boundless love and devotion for your eternal self, your divine creator, but also a boundless love for the divine within all beings and all life. You rest in the heart of the universe, the heart of the divine. You are attached to only one thing, your devotion and love to God, the God of your understanding, the infinite divine inner sanctuary of your own heart, completely liberated, unlimited, and free. Our second yoga path to yoga is karma yoga. And this is achieving perfection in action through selfless service, seva. All desires melt and merge into only one desire: to serve our families, humanity, and ultimately God. This high level of self-realization and awakening is living in a state of surrendered service to the divine of your understanding. You perform actions without any attachment to outcome. It's very important. Without any ego gratification, without any expectation of recognition or reward or payment or thanks or even acknowledgement of any kind. You serve from the heart with no expectation, as selfless service, as a pure offering of love to the divine. All action is seen as all loving service to the divine. We find our ultimate service to the divine when we do what our heart calls us to do, what feels like the right thing to do in our heart. When we follow our dharma or true purpose in this life is when we're serving God, God of our understanding, the highest. Our purpose and service in this life. By allowing life to arise without judgment or expectation, not requiring anything in return of our service, living our dharma, our true purpose, that which brings us the greatest joy. Karma Yoga purifies the heart and burns away all ego, all hatred, jealousy, anger, judgment, selfishness, and blame. Divine qualities emerge within you naturally, like compassion, love, kindness, humility, acceptance, and tolerance. So here's some questions, inquiry to Karma Yoga. So I will ask these slowly and just give you a little pause in between so you can contemplate a moment. See what arises after they're asked. How can I speak my truth in all things? Thy own self be true. How can I maintain friendliness, love, and ease in all things? How can I live passionately while unattached to outcomes? How can I be an expression of tolerance and compassion with all interactions? How can I be neutral in all things, in good times and bad, being criticized and complimented? How can I be steady in equality, neither feeling above nor below anyone? How can I rejoice in others' success, glad for others' good fortune? How can I maintain vibrant health physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? How can I be calm in all things, responsive rather than reactive, extending only peace in all interactions? How can I have deep self-love, faith in myself, and trust my divine source loves and cares for me always. How can I adapt to all situations and all types of people, extending pure love to all, judging no one? And our last inquiry, how can I live fearlessly, serving the divine ceaselessly with faith and boundless love? Move on to our third yoga. Has two names, Gyana Yoga or Jnana Yoga. We're going to go with Gyana Yoga for now. This is the most traditional and common. This is the path to knowledge and wisdom through study and self-inquiry. We awaken from the heart in Bhakti and selfless service in Karma Yoga. In Gyana Yoga, we awaken through reason. Gyana Yoga is devoted to truth, honestly discriminating between what is real and what is not. The process of reasoning to logically deduce what is real and what is not real is self-inquiry and study. The work is a powerful Gyana Yoga practice, the work of Byron Katie. It's all about self-inquiry to get to the truth. And it invites a student to honestly inquire as to the reality of certain thoughts, especially those that are causing suffering. Let's see here. I have a few questions here. This is just 4 questions on Gyana Yoga, self-inquiry for the heart. So the first one is, who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? What am I grateful for? Study is an important part of Gyana Yoga. As all yoga comes from the ancient Indian texts like the Vedas, Vedantas, the Upanishads, Patanjali Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, many more. And it is a yogi's job to study what interests them from these ancient texts, ancient Indian texts, and create your modern perspective. And without changing the truth, providing your own personal perspective, your own expanded view that allows for more awakening within the mind. All ancient texts have that power. They have an energy. And by reading the information, simply reading it, you expand your consciousness a little bit more and a little bit more until you remain fully present and awakened all the time in all circumstances. Gyana Yoga uses the mind to witness the mind's insanity. Where are we not aligned with reality? In our own minds, in our own thinking. And this wakes up a part of the mind. And that mind that rests in truth takes over more and more until it finally takes over full time. And then the mind is one. Chitta, all those distractions and disturbances of the thought realm are no longer tolerated. The truth within has taken over and knows that all of life is whole, perfect, and complete. That all is wholly innocent and one with God and the universe. All that is. Mind rests in silent stillness, bathing in the rapture of its own being. This can take the form of samadhi or mindfulness meditation. Experience this through asana, or simply prayer or dance to rapture. Yet all expressions are awakening to and becoming one with the divine that sources our very existence. Gyana Yoga has been called the yoga of the razor's edge. I love this. This is the Upanishads call it the razor's edge, calling on the absolute vigilance of guarding the doorway to your mind. Acknowledging that in every instant, fear or love are options. However, consciously choosing to respond in love, always to respond in love, is a practice that requires a strong spiritual commitment. A person committed to serving the God of their understanding with a sharp intellect, logical yet creative, strong willpower, ethical, powerful strength of character, and determined, not one to give up easy. Ramana Maharishi, a great Indian saint and Gyana yogi, would respond to many students' questions with, first ask yourself who is asking the question. If it's the ego asking the question, there's really no response. Gyana Yoga is a study of ancient sacred texts of the student's tradition. Therefore, if your tradition is Christianity, you may want to study the Bible. For Buddhists, the Tipitaka. Maybe for people from Islam, the Quran. There are many spiritual traditions and many sacred texts, sacred teachers and gurus. From many paths. Most importantly is study of the divine self, the Atman that dwells within all people of all paths. Thy own self be true. There's some inquiry to Gyana Yoga, contemplative self-inquiry, studying spiritual texts of his or her traditions, mindful of the surrounding world, detachment discernment, surrender. Take time in silent meditation. Raja Yoga, our fourth and last of the four yogas. Raja Yoga is the royal path, control over the mind in using techniques for awakening. Raja Yoga is the most popular path for Westerners because you don't need any faith or particular belief. Raja Yoga encourages students to develop beliefs through direct experience. Raja Yoga recognizes the divine self exists within all beings. However, it can be obscured by the disturbances and divergences and distractions of the mind. Therefore, its goal is to calm and still the disturbances of the mind so that the pure reflection of divine self can naturally emerge. When the body-mind is pure and still, the divine self shines brilliantly. It shines brilliantly forth without any effort. When we practice Raja Yoga, we claim the territory of our mind, taking back our power. We invite and allow the higher self to take over the mind, to shine truth within the mind, and allowing the ego to surrender. It's an ongoing vigilance, an ongoing vigilant practice of choosing thoughts aligned with truth and love over disturbing thoughts of fear and separation and illusion. Keeping the mind silent and still. Rather than distracted and disturbed and full of that chitta. Raja Yoga uses techniques as well as honors Patanjali's 8 limbs to maintain this stillness, this silence, this control and balance of the mind. Some of the techniques are meditations, mantras, pranayamas, visualizations, asanas. So Raja Yoga uses meditation, pranayama, asana, mantra chanting techniques to quiet the mind. Uses non-judgment and equanimity in witnessing to develop a neutral mind. Harmonizes with the rhythms and the laws of nature. Asks students to take full responsibility for their state of mind and their life circumstances. Takes control over mental and emotional distractions. Keeps a balance in all areas of life: work, play, diet, rest, and relaxation. So now let's go on to Patanjali's Ashtanga, or 8 limbs of yoga review. This is part of Raja Yoga. We've gone over this in a few lessons in this teacher training, but this is a good review for lifestyle. Patanjali, the great Indian sage, in his Yoga Sutras provided yogis with the yamas and the niyamas as a powerful guide to living a yogic lifestyle. Although we have had a couple of in-depth lessons on the 8 limbs, we review them in light of yogic lifestyle. So let's just go through the 8 limbs first. Yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana, samadhi. So we're going to go through each one separately. So yamas and niyamas are a beautiful part of lifestyle to give us more very direct, in-depth practices. So the yamas are abstinences. They're based on not harming others and harmlessness. The first is non-violence, harmlessness. This is a lifestyle practice, practicing harmlessness in our lifestyle, moment to moment, everyday life. Truthfulness is the second one. This is also a practice we can use moment to moment in our everyday life. It's practicing being honest and truthful in all times and all things. Non-stealing, not coveting or taking that which is not yours. It's another practice. Not wasting our energy. This has been said in many ways, but we are going to leave it at that and contemplate our other lessons with this. And abstaining with hoarding and not being greedy. So this is using what we need, not wasting. This is a very practiced lifestyle habit of the Indian saints and gurus for many years. Niyamas, principles to apply in our daily lives. Cleanliness and purity of body and mind. So a yogic lifestyle is to keep the body clean by bathing and practicing good hygiene, and also keeping the mind clean. In the mind, which wolf are you feeding? The wolf of love, the wolf of fear. Which are you feeding, the ego or the divine part of your mind, love or fear? And contentment, tosa, this is contentment. This is a lifestyle of being content with what you have, that which you have. Powerful practice. Always feeling grateful and content with that which you have. The third yama is discipline. Discipline is a powerful practice, and that can be in all areas of our lives. And that would be unique to each individual, each person, how that looks to them in their life. And then study, honest study. Taking time in our day, in our daily lifestyle to study and learn and grow and expand our consciousness. And the last niyama is devotion. Devotion to the God of our understanding, the inner Atman, the inner divine self, and all beings in all life. We are all one, coming from one source. Of course, then we have asana, which is the yoga poses, postures, which are also called seat. Pranayama, intensifying, enlivening, and mastering the life force energy through practices of breath work. Pratyahara, and this is when we withdraw our senses from the external world and we focus that intention inward. And then dharana, concentration, focused attention. This could be single point of focus. And then dhyana, uninterrupted flow of meditation. which will naturally bring us into samadhi, which is bliss, liberation, awakening. The 4 paths to yoga all support one another and lead the student to the ultimate goal of yoga, to become one self, united in the one mind and heart of Brahman. All 4 paths lead up the same mountain, to the same mountain peak, the same goal of full awakening, self-realization, to the one divine and holy mind that you are, that includes all that is. Discover aspects within each path that you like, that you resonate with, and practice those. Or maybe you are drawn to just one path, or maybe 2. Allow whatever practices you feel drawn to and weave them together to journey closer and closer to the ultimate goal of direct union and oneness with divine source within you. Make it a joyful journey, bringing you deep self-love and devotion on every step. So let's talk about yogic diet. So a yogic diet is basically plant-based, but they do use milk products. The ancient Indian gurus always had a cow. Cows were sacred. They never ate the cows, but they used the milk and churned it into ghee, and they used milk products. A yogic diet is humane sources and local sources. Yogic diet was they always ate in moderation, and they ate clean and natural foods, void of chemicals and also void of emotional toxins. So they used to grow and prepare their food with love and positive attention. A traditional yogic diet is from clean, plant-based, all-natural foods obtained from humane sources. Yogis were very conscious of growing and preparing all their food with love, with gratitude and respect. They were usually prepared by the yogi's own hands. Yogis love making their own food, milking the cows, churning the ghee, cooking farm to table. A modern yogi may not be able to spend hours churning ghee. However, we can purchase ghee in all our food from ethical, clean, humane, high-quality vendors. And we can also not waste food. Yogis wasted no food. Any food that was left over was used for compost, to feed the animals, or used for some useful purpose. Organic rice, beans, fresh vegetables, spices, and milk products were common staples in a yogic diet. Not only have yogis of ancient India been committed to eating plant-based, clean, and humanely grown sources of food, they also ate in moderation. Often they would fill one bowl, a little bowl, one bowl. And that would be their entire meal, because they were told that this bowl is the size of their stomach. And so it would fill their stomach with some clean and healthy rice and vegetables. And they were honoring their bodies, as well as the planet and fellow human beings, by eating moderately, just what they needed. So remembering with the yamas of greed and abstaining from hoarding, Don't want to eat more than our fair share. So let's go over some yogic lifestyle principles. Yogic lifestyle has utmost respect for all species and the entire planet. Yogis don't waste. From food to clothing and all products that they use, they put everything to its best use. They use their hands to eat most foods. It's their hands. And never think of using single-use plastic utensils or plastic straws or things like that. Yogi uses natural and reusable items. It is a yogi's honor to respect the earth and to respect the earth as a sacred mother and friend. Things were repurposed, reused, fixed, sewn rather than thrown in the trash. Yogis reduced their waste to a very minimal amount. Trash was minimal. Just a small little bundle would be burnt weekly. So no waste was built up in the community. A clean and healthy lifestyle invites optimal health of mind, body, and spirit. It enhances the function of all the organ systems. And by deepening the spiritual aspects of our own Atman and deepening our connection to spirit, we are able to live more joyfully and more fulfilled. We make more conscious choices, become better human beings who care, not only about ourselves, but about others and the entire planet. Clothing. There are a number of things that we can ensure while buying our clothes. And first and foremost is we can purchase pre-owned clothing. No waste, reuse. By purchasing used clothing, we are repurposing and reusing. We are fortunate to have many outlets these days that have pre-owned clothing for sale. And by purchasing used clothing, we are helping the planet. We are not wasting. We are using perfectly good clothing, not filling up dumps that are already overflowing. We are repurposing. If you do purchase new clothing, buy your clothes from fair trade and clean manufacturers who source their raw materials ethically. What this means is they don't use materials that are unnatural, and they don't use materials that have come from slave shops or sweatshops, labor exploitation, which is rampant in the world today. Also put comfort in what you think looks good, way above what is fashionable at the time. Choose clothing made of natural fibers that are better for your skin, better for your environment, and usually last longer and look better. Make sure to be comfortable and feel good in the clothes you're wearing. It's much more important than style and name brands. As you purchase new items in your wardrobe and when your closet and bureau seem to be stuffed and overflowing, I know that. Take time to go through your older clothing. And if it's an item you haven't used in a couple of years, donate it to your local charity or used clothing store. If you have items that have a rip or a hole, take the time to make those simple repairs. Yogis in India were always repairing clothing and items and sewing. It takes 15 minutes and some thread and a needle to repair a hole in a sock. Rather than wasting time and money by throwing the sock in the trash, unnecessarily spending money for new socks, using gas, and far more than 15 minutes to take a trip to the store. You might spend 15 minutes just waiting in line. You can simply sew a hole in your socks. And you can also repurpose old socks and rags. Try to use natural and reusable items as much as possible. In reusing, purchasing only what you will consume, donating and giving away clothing items you no longer need, even food that you're no longer going to eat, makes a world cleaner, a cleaner planet for everyone. Simple things like refilling your bottles of water rather than continuing to use plastic over and over. Using reusable grocery sacks and sewing a hole in your shirt or your socks rather than filling the dumpster. These things will go a long way to help the planet and all the species on Earth. Harmlessness. Yogis from thousands of years ago have practiced harmlessness as a lifestyle. This is one of our yamas. After all, it's the very first yama in the 8 limbs. Not consciously or unnecessarily bringing harm to any species on the planet. From the tiniest microscopic bug to another human being. This includes verbal and physical harm. Some yogis go as far as to not sit on anything so that they won't kill the microscopic bugs that are everywhere. However, that is not necessary for a modern yogi unless you feel guided to be that conscious of life. The most important thing is to not send out this toxic energy, this unloving energy towards those closest to us, or maybe friends that are a little more distant, or maybe someone that we have opinions about, especially those closest to us, and to all beings, big and small. Many yogas use natural products so the chemicals don't kill the insects and all that microscopic life. So shifting to more natural products and being mindful when you dump things as to not kill life. Also being mindful in nature to not unconsciously pull up a rock or a stick where an entire village or colony of bugs may have created this home, spent weeks creating this home. Also staying on the trails as much as possible. And this is so you don't stomp on the homes and villages of small creatures. And many had spent weeks and weeks creating for their families. Yoga is about oneness. Ultimately, we are all of one mind, together in a universal mind called Brahman, taking many forms yet joined together as one at the very core of our existence. Like aspen trees, it may look like a grove of hundreds of trees, separate trees. Yet, when you examine an aspen grove deeper, it's very evident that it is one plant. one plant, one organism with a core root or mother root underground, connecting every tree as one plant, one organism. The yogi knows he's as one with all that is. He identifies himself as one with all life, with everything. One with all nature and a deep part of yourself. Intimately connected to all of existence. Knowing this may make you more conscious of stepping on an ant just for the fun of it, or dumping poison on your grass because it's convenient. So a personal yoga practice, designing a personal yoga practice. A yogi cannot truly say they live a yogic lifestyle without some sort of committed yoga practice. Yoga practices are as varied as our yogis. However, they will include basic elements of yoga. Creating a yoga practice for yourself is a very personal thing, and it also can change over time. So don't feel as if you make one practice, you're locked in forever. Maybe in your early 20s, you're committed to an evening practice as the sun sets. And it might include some yoga, some asana, pranayama, and meditation. However, maybe in your 30s, you may have a few children that you're towing at toe that are running around. And evenings are busy and not optimal for a yoga practice. So you're getting kids fed, you're getting them bathed, and you're getting them to bed. And that is a higher priority than a sunset asana practice. So you adjust and create either an early morning practice before the kids wake up, maybe a midday practice while they're napping, or an evening practice while everyone's asleep. And in creating your daily practice, you want to first create the timing. So yoga practice timing, your yoga practice doesn't have to be 90 minutes or even an hour. You could have a 15-minute yoga practice that you're committed to every day, 15 minutes during nap time, or 15 minutes early in the morning before everyone wakes up, or in the evening. Or it could be 30 minutes, and sometimes it may go longer. Maybe the kids nap longer, so that 15 minutes turns into 30. You're committed to that time, original time. So create the length of your practice. Create the time of day you want to practice. And the days during the week. Maybe you want to practice 5 days a week, or 3 days a week, or maybe 7 days, or maybe 2. And this way you will be committing to your yoga practice. So first, choose how long you wish your practice to be. Everyone is different. Everyone's lifestyle is different. Some choose only shorter practice of maybe 15 or 30 minutes. And some practice several hours a day. And there's everything in between, of course. You need to look at your own life and choose how much time you desire to bask in your yoga practices. A 1 hour to 90-minute practice is very common. Next, you want to choose a time of day. Be sure the time you choose is a good time for you, your lifestyle, and that it doesn't conflict and has the least distractions as possible. Early morning and evening are very good times for many people. However, look at your life and see if either you need to make some changes in your life, maybe eliminate some things that are a less priority, like maybe time in social media or time watching sitcoms. You are fully empowered to choose what you want to do with your time in every day. If you are committed to living a yogic lifestyle and becoming a yoga instructor, you may prioritize at least 15 minutes or 30 minutes every 24-hour period for the practice of yoga. So looking over your time, you may need to switch some things around in your day or eliminate the amount of time on social media or something like that. If you don't have 15 minutes, maybe you want to be a on and off yogi, but it may not be time for you to be a totally committed yogi if you can't find 15 minutes a few days a week. Once you look over your daily schedule, rearrange things that may be less prioritized, eliminate or adjust what you need so that you have a prioritized time slot for your practice. It is time to choose which days of the week you would like to practice. And let's see here. Optimally would be 5 days a week. Many yogis did 7 days a week. But it could also be 3 days a week. You got to find out what works for you. And let's see here. Try to pick it at the very least 3 days out of the 7 days of the week to practice yoga. Once you have chosen the days and the times for your yoga practice, stick with it for at least a month. They say a habit takes 30 days, continued practice, to integrate into the brain and the nervous system. And it will take that long to really see if the practice routine works for your life. So some of your yoga practice content: asana, pranayama, meditation, chanting, dance, rapture, samadhi, ceremony, service, or seva. Once you have all the timing set, you've figured out what works for your life for a yoga practice, and you're committed to that time. You're ready to design your yoga practice. Ideally, your yoga practice will include some asana, some pranayama meditation. You may also want to include some chanting or dance or ceremony. It is your practice. So you truly get to design it and choose what it will contain. You can have each day be a little bit different, or each day be the exact same. You can have 5 minutes of several different practices plugged into an hour period. So 5 minutes of asana, 5 minutes of pranayama, 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of chanting. Every yogi has practices they love and practices they know are good for them and want to include. You are the designer, so you get to choose how you plan your practices. You may start off with only 5 minutes for those practices that you may resist or you know are good for you, but you're not crazy about. And then extend the time, maybe the following month. Or you may decide to eliminate those practices that you resist altogether. Try to find a balance. You may be the type that is single focused and only wants to do one practice a day. and you choose to do 1 hour of asana, 1 hour of meditation the next day, an hour of pranayama the next day, and an hour of chanting the day after that. Or you may be the kind of person that enjoys a variety. You may create a practice with a little bit of asana, a little bit of pranayama, a little bit of meditation. One thought to remember as a yogi is that for thousands of years, yoga was mainly Raja Yoga, philosophy, meditation, and techniques. And hatha, or the asana practices, were added more recently, and they were added as an activity to help the students quiet their minds so that they could meditate. So what they did is they decided the students are really having a hard time quieting their mind. I wonder, let's create some exercises we can have them do so that they can get all this energy out and that they can sit and find the stillness a little easier. That's what the ancient yoga saints decided to do, and that's how asana, the poses, were created. So it was a later part of yoga where the asanas were created as a means to help students to meditate and find that stillness. So the reason I say that as you're designing your practice is to have your asana first before your meditation so that you can use the asana and get in your body, release all the energy, and then you can be more quiet and still in your meditations and your pranayama. So yoga practice creating sacred space. We can take any space and make it sacred. Our sacred yoga practice space. One of the first things you can do when you find your space is to sage it, to bless it, fill it with prayers, inviting love and light to fill and bless the space. You can create a warm and inviting environment to practice by choosing to fill your space with some of your favorite things, like your favorite yoga music, maybe some plants, maybe some nice light, dim lighting, a comfortable temperature, of course. You can fill it with some delicious scents, whether that's essential oils or incense that inspire you. Your space may be outside, maybe on a beach every morning. Lucky are you. You can have fun creating a perfect outdoor space for yourself. Even if you only have a yoga mat sized space or a small meditation chair in a shared room in your house, you can make your space sacred in your own way. Have fun designing and creating your sacred space in the contents of your yoga practice. Own it and commit to it. It's yours. You designed it. You created it. That way you are telling yourself that it is a priority for you. You believe that your body, mind, and spirit are important, and you know they will benefit from this practice. You are a practicing yogi, living a yogic lifestyle of your choice. Begin to adjust your lifestyle little by little, making small changes, simple changes, easy changes. Maybe purchasing a few used items. Maybe eating a little cleaner. Foods that are more natural, fresh fruits and vegetables. Foods that have no chemicals or artificial colors and flavors. Maybe commit to a 10-minute, 15-minute meditation or asana practice daily. As time goes by, you can deepen your lifestyle changes. You can lengthen your meditations or your asana practice. Maybe your 10-minute meditation, you add 10 minutes of asana beforehand. Honor your life and prioritize your time. Taking steps, little steps, will help. And it will lead you to more steps. And before you know it, you will be quite fulfilled in living your yogic lifestyle. Most important is to practice with joy, self-love. The yogic path is about finding the innate joy and the innate love within us all. Thank you for being with me during this ecstatic yoga lesson on the 4 yogas and the yogic lifestyle. I am Grace, wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day. Namaste.